Oh, hello Internet, how are you all doing? I was just reading some intellectual content, but welcome to RWBY Reviews, a similar intellectual show.
You said it, not me.
Anyways guys, it's been a fun ride so far, and it looks like things are gonna get even better. We're finally at the halfway point and...
No, we're not.
What?
We've got another episode before we reach the halfway point, dipstick.
Really?
That's what I said. You are a dipstick.
Wow, I guess they finally realized that we need more time with all 20 plus characters.
But yes, we're almost to the middle of the volume, and things certainly have been getting better for our main characters. Not so much for the fighting or the villains, or for mothers in that case, because like with Disney, Rooster Teeth hates moms. I mean, Ruby's mom is dead, White's mom's a drunk, Blake's mom ships the black sun, Ren's mom is literally part of the home, Nora's mom is missing, John's wished that he was a boy, and Yang's mom, Raven, is a deadbeat. But speaking of her, Yang finally finds the old bird where she and some damsel in distress asks her to ship their asses.
Excuse me?
To Mistral, where Ruby is.
Oh, good. Yang is just trying to get the White Rose back together.
And since we're talking about ships, the only valid one, the Black Sun,
I beg your fucking pardon.
we're seen trying to get the people to help stop the writers from destroying Ruby. But no one's interested in the show when the fanfiction's what's important. So Haven can go to hell. And another interesting aspect of that could possibly become a new ship to add to the long list of cancers was a lovely little interaction between Ruby and Oscar the Grouch. Cause yeah, it turns out being ripped from your home and told that the fate of the world lies in your Trump-sized hands may cause you to be a little stressed out. But his soon-to-be bae tells him to chill and come Netflix when he's ready.
Not happening.
And while that's all going on, Crow is out trying to see if he can remember his drinking buddies to help fight in Ozpin's war. That's if he can remember their faces, let alone their names. Crow may have a drinking problem.
And let's see if he's able to find some, or if he'll be as screwed as I was when I had an 11-page psychology report to finish, and all my classmates were having computer problems. Gun, roll the clip.
No thank you. Skip. And we begin the episode and... oh, for God's sakes, Crow. It's not even been the 10-second mark. You need to seek help, man. Well, that's what the Dusty Bird is doing as he asks the bartender if he's seen a pal of his that may or may not have a long overdue tab at this establishment.
Well, in that case, you tell that jerk that he better not show his ugly face in here until he pays.
Okay, as intimidating as I'm sure you're trying to be, it's really hard to take you seriously when the best insult you can come up with is jerk. What is this, like the 80s where you can't say punk?
Crow then continues his search, becoming more and more exasperated before reaching a home, knocking on the door, and asking for someone called Heather.
Habla inglés, eh? Sí, pendejo.
Daddy? Does he know where Mommy is?
Yeah, she went to go get some smoke, so don't worry, she'll be back soon. Probably.
I'm sorry to bother you.
And after consulting a bounty board and realizing that most, if not all, the names on his list are either out on missions or missing, Crow then returns to the bar to pay his friend's debt.
His name is clear. Yeah. That idiot.
We then cut to the lovely little sit-down with Raven and Yellow Snow, where the latter of that ship is becoming impatient.
You're telling me 4 girls in skimpy outfits and not one of them is feeling a little warm?
You know, it's better when it's hot.
You know, you're really obnoxious.
Well, that's the frost calling the snow white.
God, kill me now.
Well, Mrs. Confucius goes on to explain that not everyone joined the Huntsmen for noble reasons. I know, big surprise. People have their own reasons for doing shit, and not all the time is it for the betterment of their fellow man. Except for the drug dealers. They just want you to have a good time at an affordable price. Raven then explains that her and Crow's reason was to kill Huntsmen, so that their clan would thrive, and the two were both at the right age and well skilled.
The entrance exams were child's play compared to what we'd already been through. We were good. So good that we caught the attention of Beacon's very own headmaster. Even after we were put on a team, I could tell he was keeping his eye on us. Back then, I thought it was because he knew, but it was Team Stark he was interested in.
What do you mean by that?
Constant attention, extra training missions, turning a blind eye whenever we happen to break the rules and get into more trouble than we should have. Sound familiar?
That does explain why he never questioned or complained about their body counts or collateral damage. Raven then warns them not to trust the old pervert, saying that Ozpin has many terrible secrets, and that when she started to learn of them, it frightened her. She tells them of Salem, the witch's goals, and that she cannot be stopped. Yang expresses her doubts, but Raven reminds her to be constantly vigilant.
So far, you've done nothing but accept what others tell you, but you need to question everything. Otherwise, you'll end up just as blind as Crow, and your fool of a father.
Alright, either the animation team forgot to animate her breaking it, or they're telling us that Yang's anger spontaneously broke the table.
And considering who this is, I'm going to believe the latter.
Well, Butch Babe warns Yang to
Chill.
forgetting that it's Weiss that gets the ice puns, and Yang who gets the handy puns. But Goldilocks nearly breaks down, telling Raven off for leaving her team, leaving her family, leaving her. However, Raven explains that there is more going on.
I know the Grimm have a leader. I know people who can come back from the dead. I know that magic is real. And I can prove it. You said Ty told you all about my semblance. Well, I doubt he ever told you what Oz did to my brother and me.
The two follow the old bird outside, where Weiss begins to have some doubts.
It was crazy. We have dust, semblances, but, I mean, there's no such thing as magic.
Thou hast tempted the irony god. Behold your ambassador of embarrassment.
Wow. That was pathetic. Not the change. The build-up was actually pretty cool, but considering the fact that Crow already did this, a little confused on why you're trying to make a big spectacle of it now.
Maybe they were hoping that people would forget about that terrible volume. Forgetting in turn that was the only time we've had a Crow fight. That wasn't a fight. That was a lover's quarrel.
Anyways, the two are impressed, but before they can learn how this is done, Raven opens the portal. She offers them a way to Ruby or the answers they seek. And like the writers, they choose to move the story along over explaining shit. I guess Yang has had enough of Raven's shit.
Yang, if you side with your uncle, I may not be as kind the next time we meet.
You aren't kind this time either.
Oh, snap! She got you good!
I know.
Back with Team Ranger.
Team Junior!
Keep dicing up your people, Carrot Top. We see the gang preparing a meal for all the people that Crow wasn't able to find. Well, that's okay, because it seems that at least 2 more mouths will be joining them for dinner.
Yang, I'm so sorry.
I love you.
I love you too. Weiss.
Ship! The white ship is confirmed! You can leave, boy. We won't need you. Ever. Again. Unless, of course, Shitley needs a boy toy. God, you people are weird.
And that was number 6. Boy! Might have been slow here and there, but that was another good episode. Are you guys sure that this volume's the bad one?
Well, the RWBY community is still at war with itself, so...
And when I say that it was a little slow, I mean in a good way. The beginning's pacing allows us to feel the sense of loneliness and isolation that Crow lives with. And while this moment seems to have been thrown in to emotionally manipulate the audience, the execution was spot on. So we didn't know that it was a cliched heart-tugger until we were done crying, that is. Because there was something subtly placed in between of all Crow's Marco Poloing.
Thanks to the safety of the city, we haven't really gotten another instance of how dangerous this world can be. One not undercut by the dabbing disease.
My eyes are bleeding. You know, this joke really doesn't make much sense. I'm a skull.
As the old drunk examines the board, we can see just how many may lose their lives just so that the city can continue to live in the safety of its decadence and perversions. It's another sad reminder of the fragility of their world. Also, just gonna touch on this for a second, but we did finally get an instance of racism towards the Faunus. Yeah, it only took them a couple seasons to finally show it in a legitimate, less stereotyped sense. Anyways, moving on. The only other thing that sort of ruins this moment is, of course, the failed attempts of lame jokes. I don't know what happened to these guys that used to make us laugh with every other sentence, but I guess this is just their way of making RWBY family friendly.
Cause the RWBY community is certainly family friendly. Ah, well, at least there's boobies.
And since we touched on the subject of the hospitality of one's kin, man, Raven is full of self-pity.
I mean, yeah, it would be hard to enjoy one's tea even before Yank broke the table, with Mrs. Nevermore here complaining about how she'll be happy nevermore. However, I've already noted that Anna Hollum is an excellent voice for the cranky old hag, and she continues to impress, as even though she belittles her own daughter and annoys us with her Debbie Downer attitude, it comes across believable and unforced. She comes across as someone who has been damaged, who has gone through so much that she has given up on the world. Which isn't new. Everyone from Team Stark seems to have been ruined in one way or another. Crow's a drunk, Raven's secluded, Ty tells dad jokes, and Summer's taking a dirt nap. Ruby, could you cut the music? Your mommy's sleeping. However, the question does arise of exactly what did she learn about Ozpin that has her turning her back on her own family? Certainly it must be more than what we already know, as it seems to not only have frightened her, but has her given up altogether. Plus we know that it must be something big. I mean, the old pervert said as much, but what is it?
I guess we'll have to wait for that, but one thing that Ozpin did seem to do was give her the ability to turn into a bird. Which has more implications than you may think.
Not sure what more you could do with those powers. Besides the obvious.
Well, that may be what Ozpin wanted from them.
I was joking. Sort of.
Apart from being a nice joke that would constantly be used against them, as we've seen throughout the series, he may have indeed given them this gift so that they would be his eyes and ears. Though, I do have to agree with some people out there that at first the whole dust semblance and magical my is a bit confusing.
So I'll quickly go over how it really isn't.
Cause if you think about it, dust semblance and magic, they're all technically one and the same. Or at least branches of the same tree. Now, for many of you less, intellectually capable minds out there, you may be easily tricked that magic is just something that you go hocus pocus and then something happens that breaks the laws of physics. But to one who understands what those laws are and what magic is, nothing can go against how this world is. So, sorry super lazies, there's no such thing as reality warping. This means that magic would have rules and conditions that would make it not so much separate from science, but instead a different branch of it. And the best way that I can put it is that magic is nothing more or less than the manipulation of energy to cause an effect on the world around you. Meaning that magic is using energy and knowledge to enact a desired reaction in accordance to one's will. Nerdy stuff aside, this would mean that these three are more or less the same thing, as each seems to follow the rules previously discussed. Each uses energy fueled from a source that requires some knowledge on how it will work, all channeled through the will of a soul to cause an effect. The only difference would be the level of cost, diversity, and strength. Dust would have a low cost, as it's literally stored energy, and it can be mixed for a slightly strict amount of diversity, but its strength would be only mid-level, as there's only so much energy stored in a single dust crystal. Semblance would have a rather average cost, higher than dust, but its strength is rather intense. However, it's extremely rigid and has little to no diversity. Magic would be the best of both worlds, and in between a cost of energy, but a much higher level of diversity and strength.
Sorry, I fell asleep. There must have been something boring going on.
Anyways, that's just a quick little explanation on why all three are different and yet not. Now back to your regularly scheduled criticism.
And let's wrap up this awkward discussion and talk about the other half of the familial conflict.
First of all, again, I have to agree with some of the community out there that Yang just doesn't seem like herself anymore. And I don't mean like, oh, she's just different because she went through a horrific event. No, I mean the tone and personality of the character, it seems radically different. I'll speak more about this at the end, but for now, it just seems a little off having Yang so uptight.
What have they done to my waifu? Miles, Carey, I'm gonna rip out your souls through your urethra!
But of course she would be, especially with the one person who dumped her to go partying is in front of her complaining about how she just doesn't get it. Yang has already had one parent close off and shut down, and now after so long of looking and finally finding her mother, she is more or less reliving history. And let's not forget that she's already literally reliving it. Floods of emotions must be running through her, and though it would be nice to see it for once, she is no doubt remembering all the times that she and Ruby needed this woman in their lives. But now she finds the old bag living it up with her bandit friends, without a care in the world. It's no surprise why she would want to get away from that as soon as possible, especially since Raven doesn't seem to be sorry in the least.
I say kiss and make up and it'll all be better. Just remember, on the lips, and you have to hold it for 30 seconds or it doesn't count.
It's also kind of ironic that she looked for her mom most of her life, even endangering her and Ruby's lives. But now that she's finally found her, she can't stand being with her. Perhaps she thought Raven had no choice, and that if she could find her, it would all be okay. But for a while, that passion has been gone. Likely lost when Crow told her where Raven really was. Now, at the moment, there really isn't much more I can discuss about these scenes without spoiling things. So I'll just cut to the better side of this family reunion episode. Gosh darn it, if this scene doesn't make your heart throb and your eyes water. And again, this is like the reverse reaction compared to Yang and Raven, a real mother and daughter unable to outdo the emotions from the pseudo one. And to see Ruby hesitate mirrors Yang's own, but with drastically different results. It's just a wonderful scene that reminds us that though most of them aren't directly related, they are still a team of sisters. They are still family.
And that's all I can really say about it, except that I'm really looking forward to the future episodes and what they plan on doing with Yang and her mother and Team RWBY as a whole.
Fingers crossed for a redneck family reunion.
So until next time, guys, thanks for watching. You know what to do with this episode. Wrong button. Oh, for God's sakes. But anyways, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment on how you felt. I'm Ricardo, the Cynical Critic. With me, no movie's sacred, no video's safe, but all deserve a chance. I'll catch you guys next time. Toodles!
So I was thinking about names for my new tea shop. How about the Jasmine Dragon? It's dramatic, poetic, has a nice ring to it. Please sit. Why don't you enjoy a cup of calming jasmine tea?
I don't need any calming tea! I need to capture the Avatar!
I know you're not supposed to cry over spilled tea, but it's just so sad.